What's going on? This is D-Spence Beats, and welcome back to my channel. Before I start, the reason why I'm making so many videos about South African news is because I have some really dear friends who are South African. A lot of them don't want, they don't have anything to say about this. They think it's wrong. Some of them do understand what's going on, even though they don't live there anymore. But they have family back home, so they call them. And again, I know the perspective of the South Africans. I've seen so many videos of the other side. Now, people getting beat up and killed. 100% disagree with that. 1,000% disagree with that. These people came here for a reason. Now, the people who are causing trouble now, that's a whole different topic. Because no one's going to come out and say, yeah, we know we did this to your country. They're not going to say that. So they put matters to their own hands. Actually, I just DJ'd a South African event, the soccer game against Canada, even though they lost. I got to play my Kwaito. I got to play the Bula. I got to play Mdu. I got to play like old Kwaito. I play Boom Shaka. So anyway, I'm not actually biased. I'm not really being biased, even though it may seem I'm being biased. I'm just trying to translate the perspectives. Now, this guy right here, Rua Organic, there's a lot of creators out there. I really appreciate this because before this conflict, I didn't really know how many people are like foot on the ground. I really appreciate it. I hope there's other countries doing the same thing. For us people to know their perspectives of what's going on. There's so many different angles you can look at this in.
You need to look at the mirror and ask yourself, what sort of person are you?
I think he's saying,
I
wait,
remember a time in
sort that back.
primary school, because I used to go to Belvedere Primary School. If you're someone that feels a sense of happiness over someone else's misery or someone else's misfortune, then you really need to look at the mirror and ask yourself, what sort of person are you? I remember a time in primary school, because I used to go to Belvedere Primary School. We used to have these South African fellow students. I even remember some of the names. There was Mandla, there was Sizwe, there was quite a few in our class. They used to have these ANC stickers in class. And at that time, of course, we didn't know much. There was no internet, but we just used to hear on the news that there was this apartheid thing going on there and so on. And we're going back quite many years ago, because I'm talking about primary school here. So the reason why I'm doing this video is just to remind ourselves as a people that, when we struggle, one shouldn't be rejoicing over that, because at the end of the day, what are you going to benefit from that?
Mm.
What do you benefit from someone's misfortune? From
I mean, there's people out there who really do benefit from people's misfortune by making fun of them so they can feel better about their own lives. They're called bullies.
someone else's troubles? What do you benefit from that? Unfortunately, we live in a society where
That's why gossip news is one of the most successful niches. Is people out there who love to live off other people's misery. Okay, that's just what it is. People have this innate nature to want to hear about other people because drama excites them. Now, of course, there's people out there like me who's saying, look, I can see things from a very animalistic viewpoint, saying, yeah, fuck those foreigners. Ah. But I can also put myself in the foreigner's shoes, the one that's not causing trouble. Keep that right. Keep that, you know, and say, look, as a foreigner, I'm coming here just to make some more money for my family where I'm from. There's not a lot of opportunities. And, so I have the ability to put myself on both sides. Most people don't. They only go to whatever the popular narrative is. And if they hear enough voices, they still, um, they don't show the intellectual honesty, or the intellectual effort into trying to figure out, okay, let's see the other side of the story. Let's not just go with whatever's in the headlines. Most people don't do that.
people are constantly competing. And if someone does better in life, you rejoice because, you feel bad or you feel sad because you're going to be judged as the lesser person. I used to have a friend I used to get along with in high school. And life was okay until I set up my own business. And till today, our friendship has pretty much discontinued. So, from what I can see, it's because the friendship worked fine at a stage where he thought he was better than me. But the moment I set up my own business, although I wasn't making money at the time, he felt a very massive threat. And as a result, you know, we
It's a massive threat to people. Let me give you another perspective. It's only a massive threat when you use that business to say, hey, I'm better than you. So if everything was leveled at the time, and I'm not saying he's wrong, there's people out there who only like you when you're below them. That's true. But if I have a friend that has something that's of value, I would look at it as like, yo, this is my friend, and if I help my friend catapult, I'm gonna catapult with my friend. A win-win situation. That's how I think. But he's right when it comes to those people out there who like, oh, you got that going on. I don't like that. You know, some people feel like, oh no, 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 you can't be doing better than me. He's true, but there's sometimes the people who do actually get business, get better, and get some financial status, sometimes they feel like you're beneath them now. We can't hang with you no more. You're a bum. Get some money. That's literally. I've seen someone who was humble at a certain tax bracket. She got some money and now she thinks she's untouchable. And the funny thing about it was, I've always looked at her the same way. I didn't see her as, oh yeah, this is a lick now. Like, oh, good for her. I'm glad she found something that she likes to do that makes money. But I saw her attitude change from not being judgmental to being extremely judgmental. So that goes both ways.
didn't really talk after that. In fact, we our friendship just ended. I tried to reconnect a few times, and that didn't work. So where am I going with this? You see, a lot of the Zimbabweans in South Africa and also other nationalities, they are in South Africa because they saw that as a way of starting their own lives
Mm-hmm.
as compared to where they were in. And that is not even an issue. It's not even a problem. I mean, today, some of us are in the UK here because we thought that that's where we want to build our lives. But in doing that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you become better than everyone else because you made that decision. And as I mentioned earlier on, unfortunately, we live in a society where people are judged based on material things and so on. So people get jealous when you don't achieve, and people actually feel happy when you don't achieve, and it is very very sad. So to all the South Africans today that are attacking the fellow Africans, it's a sad situation because a lot of them have forgotten that when they were in a situation where things were bad for them, they were helped by the neighboring countries. I'm not sure how, uh, or I'm not sure if any of these other countries helped, like Malawi and Zambia. I can only speak about what I know. It's sad that now these these are the same people. They've forgotten that 30 years ago they were helped by the very same people in open arms. And I remember we used to learn a lot from the South African fellow students.
Okay, let's see what this comment says. It says, you are not being fair on South Africans because Zimbabweans were looked after by South Africa for decades. Decades, okay. They accommodated Zimbabweans with open arms when Mugabe was terrorizing citizens and killing Zimbabweans. The whole continent isn't in South Africa. It's too much. They have had enough. 3 million Zimbabweans in South Africa. Your generation are cowards. You don't want to fight for your country, but want to fight with South Africans. Okay. Ooh, they're getting at her, at him, whatever. You cannot plan your lives around South Africa forever if you want a peaceful life. Somewhere, somehow, a mental shift has to happen, and it can be painful until someone learned economic theory. Here's what I suggest, and I'm talking as an armchair revolutionary. So I may be talking in broad terms, and I know it's not as simple as what I'm about to say, but we need to put together your most skilled people, economists, economists, sorry, economists, people who know trades, or in South Africa, trades. I love South African accents. Put together your brightest and make sure they're able to actually operate back in your home country. Because as of right now, I'm not sure what's going on. I know they say the white South African, the white Zimbabweans that kicked out, the white people who were the farmers, they had to return back because they didn't know how to run the farms themselves. That's why Zimbabwe's economy is bad, because the farm was their number one grossing asset. And when they got rid of the white South African, so the white Zimbabweans, sorry, they didn't know how to do it. So a lot of them just went bankrupt. And I know they returned by now. Let's see what they're up to right now. What are the farmers up to now in Zimbabwe? What are they up to? 8 years ago. I need something recent. Filters. Let's say this year. Oh, so this is recently. Okay, so they didn't return back. Maybe they did. Okay.
Hold on. Look at this. A banknote. The most productive agricultural systems on the entire African continent. Not productive in a modest, developing world sense, but farmers controlled roughly 42% of the most.
So anyway, the white farmers, they're returning back, but they want to come back with more incentives because they're upset that they get kicked out in the first place. I don't know how long ago that was, but
April, the Zimbabwean government set interest land reform over 20 years ago.
20 years ago, okay.
But the former
So 20 years, Zimbabwe hasn't had a booming economy for 20 years. So the people that are kicked out who could run the farms, they want them to come back, but let's say what they want in return.
commercial farmers said the government was misleading the world and only paying peanuts to few desperate individuals. The U.S. House of Representatives later introduced a bill to remove sanctions on Zimbabwe on condition the country fully compensate dispossessed white farmers. The farmers say they also want sanctions to go, but only if the Zimbabwean government meets the stipulations.
One of those conditions is that we should be compensated. We need to see the Zadera lifted, but then we need to see government playing their part as well.
Theron says they are ready to assist through engaging U.S. President Donald Trump's administration.
There is a standoff at the moment, but it's because of differing views. Listen, if I wasn't a patriotic Zimbabwean, I'd be somewhere else now. I would have left. My children are here, our grandchildren are here. I want to stay in Zimbabwe. But let's engage government. We can assist them in engaging the Americans as well.
Last week, the Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa criticized the sanctions for hurting Zimbabwe's economy.
It is through the removal of the entire sanctions regime that a conducive environment can be created.
For 23 years, the country has been reeling under targeted U.S. economic sanctions over the human rights abuses. Pindai Dube, Harare, Zimbabwe.
All right, let's go back to the video now.
Me people, I've been watching the propaganda being put.
Oops. Not that one. Here we go.
In primary school, and there was one time we even learning the gumboot dance. I remember it was a gumboot dance. And there was no hostility towards them. Everything was all good. But today, it's so sad that the same people that were helped when they needed help are the same people who are making fellow Africans' lives a misery. It's very, very sad. But having said that, there is one principle that I work on, or that I live with, and that is I don't really focus on trying to change people's behaviors or people's actions, because that is a very, very difficult thing to do. So I don't focus on how people act or react, because it's unpredictable. The only thing that I know for sure can change is my own actions, because that's something that is under my control. So a few years ago, when I started making videos, I'm one of the first people that started making videos about retiring back in Zimbabwe. The reason why I started having that mentality or that idea was because Zimbabwe is our own country. Okay, it's our own country, and trying to build in a foreign country, there's a lot of things that you can't control. Yes, you can say,
All right, getting too into variables. I don't care about that. So what's going on with this one?
Hello, and thank you for joining us. Our top story today is from South Africa.
Did I pause it?
An overwhelming sense of anxiety has gripped the country. A highly tense deadline has arrived, June the 30th. Now that's the unofficial deadline set by the anti-immigrant vigilante groups for all undocumented foreign nationals to leave the country. Thousands of anti-migrant protesters have taken to the streets across major cities. Business owners are too. The organizers are protest organizers. One, that it firmly.
Even to work, but our South African here, please, guys, South Africa, you must make plan for us. You mustn't do that. We are together here. You chase us like animals. Please.
So why is this happening now? South Africa is one of the most industrialized countries on the continent, making it a massive magnet for migrants. But the country is currently grappling with severe internal pressures, an unemployment rate that is hovering above 30%, and high crime rates. And critics say that migrants are being scapegoated for South Africa's domestic crises. As night falls on the June 30th deadline, the country remains frozen in a state of high alert. Thousands of families are praying for a safe ticket home, while an entire nation holds its breath, hoping that peace will prevail over fear. Now, for more on this, we have with us Lauren Landau, who's a senior researcher with the African Center for Migration and Society at the University of the Witwatersrand, joining us live from Johannesburg, South Africa. Lauren, thank you for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
Now, with the police heavily deployed, but violence already breaking out.
Good evening and welcome to Power Chat. I'm Daily Maverick senior journalist Rebecca Davis, and the sun is setting on what has been an exception.
I'm sorry, I get bored easily. You gotta get me straight to the point. I need action, okay? No more talk.